Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for our three things. I am here with the amazing Laura Scudiere from the Marathon County Health Department, and we have a special guest today. Our very special guest, Deputy Chief Matt Barnes from the Wausau Police Department. Yes, welcome. So we have some very specific questions today about COVID, the vaccine, all of the things. So I hope you're ready to answer some really thrilling three questions for us, Matt.
Well, as long as it's not a cross-examination, I think we'll be okay.
I can't promise that.
Oh, well, yeah, that changes our.
Well, we'll do our best.
Okay, well, Matt, you shared with me before that you yourself had COVID and you've also been vaccinated. Do you know what kind of vaccine you got?
Yeah, I got the Moderna.
Moderna, okay. So I would love to know, we get a lot of questions at the health department if someone has had COVID, if they should get the vaccine, and we say yes. Someone with COVID should still explore getting vaccinated. And I know you had COVID and you got vaccinated. Can you tell us about your experience with that?
Well, first and foremost, I don't know if you remember, but I called you, and for everybody listening, Laura and I have known each other quite a while and worked on a lot of different projects. And you have an education in this and a master's degree, and you've talked to me about the work you've done, and I asked you, should I get the vaccine? And you told me yes. So first and foremost, that put me in the right frame of mind.
Good advice from the Marathon County Health Department.
Right. And I think everyone that gets something has to be comfortable with it. And I was very comfortable getting the vaccine, especially after having COVID. And I spent a lot of time thinking about what are the consequences of not having everyone vaccinated here at the police department, not only for our organization, but for the community. And I don't want to get COVID again. And although that might not be likely based on some of the data, it's definitely been possible, or at least that's what I've learned. And lastly, I have three kids that are all in college right now, two of which have had COVID. And I look at the experience they're having on their university campus, of which my wife and I are funding a portion of. And we saved money from the time they were born to be able to pay for that. And I had this vision of what I was going to be paying for in an experience, and that's not what they're getting. And if the idea that more and more people can be vaccinated and people in leadership positions in their organization get vaccinated and are willing to talk about it, then we get closer and closer to some normalcy where our local kids in school, my kids in college, can all start to have the same experience that maybe we had, which hopefully was positive. It was for me, and I wanted them to have that. And when I see that they're not, and that I'm paying for it, that helped motivate me to say, give me the needle.
So you want your kids to have the same kind of college experience you had?
Well, I mean, within, like, you know me well enough that certain things I like from a socialization and an education in person and being able to exchange ideas and thoughts with their peers, yes. To the other things, like I plead the fifth.
I am going to save my questions on that for our next three questions.
All right. So tell us about what it was like to get vaccinated. Tell us all about like what symptoms you had, if you had any side effects. What was it like for you?
Yeah, getting the actual shot was a piece of cake. Didn't even feel her going in, and the rest of that day for the next 2-3 hours felt great. I'm like, this is not a thing. It's at that point that the injection site really starts to hurt, and people are like, well, what do you mean it hurt? And the best way I can describe it is just about everybody has had a tetanus shot, and your muscle is sore when you get a tetanus shot. I'd say multiply it by 4 or 5, and it lasts 3 to 5 days. That's the best description I can give for, the muscle pain in your shoulder. Like, you're very careful walking through doorways that you don't bump your shoulder because it hurts. And it's pretty significant. Not a reason not to get it. I think that's really just something you deal with getting a shot. So people shouldn't sweat that. After getting the first shot, the next day, I definitely had COVID symptoms, just like when I had COVID. And then the day after that, I went full blown, just like when I had COVID. And I was really fortunate when I had COVID, in so much as I got through it no problem. I had hot and cold spells. I would have a fever. The fever would stop, and I'd feel fine for a little while, and then the fever would start up again. Body aches, and but at the end of the day, it wasn't that terribly detrimental to me. I just spent a lot of time on the couch and slept a lot, and so that's exactly what happened after I got the first shot. The second shot, and then on the third day, woke up and I was asymptomatic, felt great. Like it's like you flipped a switch. When I got the second shot, it was the day after getting the shot that I had mild COVID symptoms from what I had when I had COVID, and spent one day at home and woke up the next day and was 100% just fine. So, like, I'm fully aware of people I work with here and people I know in my personal life that had much more significant symptoms when they had COVID and they were really, really ill. So I don't ever win anything. I'm one of those guys, but I definitely felt like in the getting COVID, I won because I got hot, I got cold, I had a fever, I had body aches, and that was it. And it lasted for a week, and then it was over.
You know what they
You
say
get
about
some-
that?
Oh, what do they say about that?
They say that it's because your immune system is responding. So it's a good thing. Like you want to, you want to recognize that as like my immune system is actually recognizing that there's this mRNA vaccine is in my body and it's making these spike proteins and it is responding to that.
I think that the thing I would tell people is, yeah, you might get sick just like I did as a side effect to the vaccine, but just know that there's a timeline to it. Everyone I know that's been sick from getting the vaccine is like, woke up the third day and I was fine. No, and I know lots of people because police officers were fortunate enough to end up on the list where we got them early, relatively early, and our staff all report the exact same thing. So it's one thing to be sick and not know when you're going to get better, but it's a whole nother thing knowing like, just got to suffer through it for 48 hours and then I'm going to be fine. And that's what I would tell people is,
Did you get some Prime COVID vaccine Netflix viewing in while you were, experiencing your spikes here?
I totally missed the first half of your question.
What did you watch when you were at home? I want to know all about what you watched, what you listened to.
It was
what
Bridgerton,
advice do you have
wasn't
for
it?
people? Yeah.
Yeah.
Netflix.
Well, I'm really glad I have Netflix.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad my wife, who's working from home, stays in her office bedroom where she does the work because she's not into work watching, car restoration, binge watching seasons worth of watching rust buckets get turned into really nice cars, which
That sounds exciting.
because you can just doze off in the middle of that. There were times where I woke up and Netflix asked me if I was still continuing to watch.
Sure, why not?
And
Whenever it does that to me, it feels really judgmental. Like, are you still watching Repair Shop? Yes, I'm still watching Repair Shop.
are you trying to tell me that the 5 episodes that apparently I've watched back to back to back is too many?
Yeah, that's what Netflix is implying to us, is that we're spending too much time on it. Which, by the way, you would like the show Repair Shop. It's very
I will have to look into it.
Yeah. Okay, my last question. Would you recommend it to others to get it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you have the ability to get the vaccine, get it. I think it's a no-brainer that it helps create this whole community of safety for everyone. I want COVID to go away. I hate wearing a mask. The mayor wants me to wear a mask. That's why my door's closed and I'm in my office, because I don't want to wear it anywhere. But I understand in order for us to get out of this environment that we live in, we need everyone to get vaccinated. So if I had to go get another one next week, I'd go get another one. And if somebody asks me, should I get it? I strongly encourage them to do that.
It's not just me that wants you wearing a mask. We
I
have
know.
the Marathon County Health Department, all of the people that care about you and the people that you come into contact with.
I don't work for them, Mayor.
Depends on how you look at it, I guess.
No, I just think it's the whole mask concept has become so divisive with people, and people have really strong feelings on both ends of the spectrum. And then you have probably people like me who are obedient, and I don't want people to be in fear when I don't have a mask on near them. And I really miss society where someone wearing a mask walking around town drew people's attention because it was not normal. So I want to go back there. And I think the fastest way we can get back there is to get as many people vaccinated as quickly as possible.
I think you're right. Thank you so much for sharing your medical history with us here. It's uncomfortable sometimes, but really appreciate you sharing.
Let's see if we get yelled at by HR.
I'm willing to test that limit.
I think you'll be fine.
No, I
they watch the whole thing.
We're fine.
I would encourage people to share their experience with what they've had. And I don't think there's anything that should be a mystery or a secret with this. And I think people actually talking about their real experiences is important, because if there's one thing everybody can take away from this whole COVID experience is wherever you fall in what you want to believe, not what you know, but what you want to believe, I can find you an article written by someone with lots of letters after their name that supports what you want to hear. And that makes it really difficult. But what I trust are people that I've known for a long time, and I trust my own experience. And I would hope people can trust when I tell you this is what I went through, that's exactly what I went through. So by hearing from people local in our own community about their experiences, I think that should probably help make decisions easier and for the individuals that are really trying to struggle with what to do with that.
So I'm going to go review the vaccine on Amazon, and we'll see how that goes.
Thanks, Matt. We really appreciate your time today.
Well, you are very welcome.
All right. I guess we're done with these 3 things. Thank you.